Hey, I'm happy to be back. Happy to be talking to you guys. I am solo this show. Past couple times I've had people with me, and I'm going to have guests in the future. But it is officially fall. It's October. I've got my sweater on, sweater weather, my Carhartt that I got, I think in London possibly. And I just had a nice big bowl of vegetable soup. Thanks to Don and Dina. We love ya. And I've just been cuddling on the couch. I'm just hanging out solo. I've got my little one finishing up her homework. She got rubber bands on her braces, and we're just crushing it today. I did have my second trial for my makeup, went a lot lighter this time. If you go back to my very first video, that was my first trial, and I just really wanted to tone it down. I really wanted to keep it dewy. So if you're watching the video, you can kind of see what my look is going to be like for my engagement pictures. Love, love, love. And yeah, today's episode. Now that we've heard a little bit about my day in the life, today's episode, we're going to talk about getting a hobby. You need to get a life. You need to get a hobby. And to pair with that, we're going to talk about when you need to give your life a jump start. So for me, I can pretty much pinpoint like the exact month of my life. And people will say things like, I felt like everything was going wrong. I was so lost. Or they'll say that quote, like, people that don't believe in anything will fall, or, have a belief will fall for anything. I mean, there's so many different scenarios where people find themselves in this position. And I always kind of rolled my eyes and I was like, yeah, whatever. Well, whatever, you got a new hobby and your whole life got better. I'm sure it did, Bob. But, for me, it was true. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about that story and why I think it's crucial and why I think it's important to talk about, because I know a lot of people where from the outside looking in, it looks like they're in a rut, or it looks like, and I am that person. Like, my life from the outside looking in, it might look like I'm in a rut or look like I'm in a place where I need change. There is a difference between being stuck in a place in your life where you need to give your life a jump start and being comfortable and happy with where you are and not wanting to reinvent the wheel. That was a big turning point in my mindset. It was a big learning curve for me, is being content and happy with your life is not the same as being bored. Those are two very different things. You can use that for your job. Just because you're content and happy doesn't mean that you need to start throwing your resume out there. If they're checking off your boxes, if your boss is somebody that you are happy working with, if your company is giving you that satisfaction of, I enjoy the things that I'm doing every day, you're getting along with your coworkers, you're not having to work 1,000 hours a day, like, if it's checking off the boxes and you're content, but it's not blowing your mind like the best thing ever, you're still in a good place, and you might not, it might not be time to stir the pot. That's really up to you. But that was a big learning curve for me, was deciding the difference. But let's jump on to the story I have for you guys. So little old Shelby, in my early 20s, I was definitely a free spirit. I still am, but free spirit, kind of wandering through life and just getting through the day to day. I didn't have like huge goals that I was working for. In my early 20s, college was definitely a goal, finding a job, but really just having a roof over me and my daughter's head was my goal from like 18 still to this day. Especially when I was younger and I really wasn't making any money. Like, that was a big deal, was being in a safe place, a safe neighborhood, and so on. So, you know, in my mid to early 20s, I was in a apartment that I was renting from this amazing family. They had like an in-law suite house that they were renting to me and my daughter for such a reasonable price. They were so kind to us, and I'd been there for a couple of years, and that took that weight off my shoulders of needing to just provide, provide, provide. I mean, it never really goes away when you have kids, but knowing that I had a place to live and that my landlords they knew us before we lived there. So it really kind of took a lot of weight off of me. I knew that if they were going to rent it to someone else, they would talk to me about it first. And as soon as I knew I was going to move, I would talk to them and whatever. But I was working at a job that made me miserable. I was angry all the time. I was frustrated. I felt I was really down on myself. I had been working for this company, and the craziest thing is, I was obsessed with this job in a good way and in a bad way. I wanted to research. I was, a stylist or a salesperson. Like I was in a boutique and I was obsessed. I was after work researching all of the designers and looking at how to style certain body types and how to find what a person's, tones were just by looking at their wrists. Like I wanted to know all of the details. I was so invested because I truly loved the genre of what I was doing. But I had been working really, really hard. There was a couple situations where I had been told that I was going to get a promotion and it fell through. I was told finally when COVID hit, there was like a big layoff at our company, and I was the only person that stayed at my store. So I felt very confident in that, and I ran the store pretty much by myself. I got, sent over to newer people that had been like kind of like interns before, and I trained them up and they moved up in the company, and I just was very confident in my abilities. And so at the end of like 8 months of me hitting all of my sales targets, making sure that my employees that I had were hitting my sales target. I still don't have the title of a store manager, didn't have the promotion of a store manager, but was doing the work, going in early, staying late, making schedules. Like I was doing everything. And then I had expressed a lot that I wanted to be that store manager. Like, I'm willing and ready, honey. Like, I'm right here. I've been doing it for 8 months, successfully doing it for 8 months. Want my title, want my raise. Had gotten ignored for that conversation multiple times. And I'm sure there's hundreds of you out there that have had this happen to you, but had gotten ignored for the conversation, but I kept pushing. They would say little things like, I don't like the way that this table looks. And I'm like, okay, well, we can change that one table. Thank you. But, bigger picture, I was like, I'm just going to work towards this goal. I'm going to be this store manager. Oh my gosh, it's going to be amazing. I loved the girls that I worked with. I worked with them very closely. I had trained them, and I was very confident in their abilities. Like I trusted them. If I were to open a store today, I would want to hire all of them immediately. Then they come up to me one day and they're like, we're interviewing for a store manager for this store. I said, you doing what? Why are you interviewing someone when I'm the store manager? What? Excuse me? And that really hit me like a ton of bricks, literally. And not even exaggerating, shortly after that happened, I quite literally got hit by a bus. So I was driving my car. It was around this time of year because we had pumpkins in the car, because I remember the pumpkin like flying up to the windshield. But yeah, there was just a freak turn of events. And when we went through the stoplight, the bus was going through their stoplight and hit the back of my car. And we like spun around, and me and my daughter were in this accident, and it was traumatizing. I had a concussion. It only lasted like 3 or 4 days, and then I was okay. My daughter was fine. So thank goodness she was good. But I was out of work for like I was supposed to be out for a week, but they said I could only take 2 days for my concussion, and I did not have a vehicle. So that was great. And then my daughter was able to go back to school because she didn't have any injuries, and, my car was being worked on, so on and so forth. And during that time, they were like, yeah, we're bringing in someone to be the store manager. And then they proceeded to tell me that they think in the 2 days that I was gone, that they found somebody, but they're going to need me to train them because they don't know any of our store's brands. They don't know any of the employees, and they've never worked in luxury retail before. They've only sold like fast fashion, like Target brands. So I'm going to need to teach them like the fit of the clothes. Like they're going to get trained by like the headquarters, which I say headquarters, it was like a smaller company, but they're going to get trained by like some of the more senior managers. And then like usually when you become a manager, you train with each other manager for like 1 week or 2 days or whatever. And then you go to your store, you kind of can see the way that other people do it. And then you figure out the best way for your store. So they were going to do that little process. And I was just, like, when they gave me that call and they were like, we want you to train her, mind you, yes, I had my apartment, but the way that I kind of worked my bills, because I had never had credit at that point, I had like just started getting a credit card that I talked about in an earlier episode. I, got my car outright. Like I went in and bought it, outright with my family. And I just didn't have anything that was like my safety net, except anytime that I got any extra money, it didn't matter if it was like the day that my rent was due or not. I think on like the 1st and the 15th or something, I was like putting my rent money in. Or maybe I would I would split it up half and half. The 1st and the 15th, I would put half, but my rent was like $600 and I was putting in like maybe 500 every time, or 450 or whatever I had. I wasn't making a ton of money. So I'd put like an extra $100 towards rent. So my rent was like maybe like 2 months extra, 2.5 or whatever extra of what it should have been. And then my electric bills and stuff were like, I had a credit in there as well. And I'm just sitting there and I'm thinking, these people that I've worked with now for years, like 4 years or something, think so little of me, and I am so disposable to them, because I felt like I made it pretty clear that if this didn't become my store, I was up and out. They think so little of me, and my role in this company means so little that I've been doing this job without pay for 8 months, and they told me I didn't have the look that they wanted for a manager, so they hired someone else. Yeah, let that soak in for a second. And it just really hit me, and I was like, there are so many things that I've been wanting to do, but this job sucked every single ounce out of me. When I got home, you've been talking to people all day long. You have to be everyone's best friend when you're in sales. Anyone that's in sales knows when someone walks in the door, they want you to be their confidant. You're taking on all of these people's traumas, and they're separating with their husbands, or that their daughter is really sick, or that they're dealing with suicide or depression. Like, you're taking on all of that, which is so much to have to deal with in an 8-hour shift. That's really 10 hours. And then you have your boss that's yelling at you that you didn't fold a shirt right on the table, or just these little things that are just piling up. And by the time you get home and you're spending time with your kids, I mean, retail, you get off at like 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. When you go into work, I mean, they're already at school. So I just felt like I was missing out on so much of the things that were truly important to me. In my head, I had these horse blinders, like, if I get the store manager position, all of my problems are going to disappear. I'm going to have more money. I'm going to be able to, when really it was a blessing, because that job sucks. That job would have been terrible. I did it for 8 months and I still wasn't happy. I still had people crawling up the back of my neck, like, tearing me down for every single little thing that I did. And why did I think that that was going to stop just because my position changed? It wouldn't have. So I'll tell you what I did that really catapulted where I am in life right now. I took a free boxing class. As simple as that. I'd always wanted to do boxing and self-defense, and the car accident and the concussion, I thought it was too dangerous. And the car accident and the concussion, I was like, I could get hurt riding in my car tomorrow, and there's all these things that I wanted to try and I wanted to do, and I don't do them because I'm always at work. And when I'm not at work, my feet hurt too bad from standing for 10 hours to go and take a class, or to go and try this, or to go and try that. So I said, I'm going to take a boxing class. I have a little bit of extra money, and this boxing gym, shout out to Knuckle Up, this boxing gym had kids classes. And I was like, I'm going to take this class and I'm going to have my daughter take the kids class. And when I got there, they were the most energetic, loving, exciting people I'd ever met. My very first class, I think I went into like an intensive class. It was called like Beasts class. And Beast was the name of the trainer, and he's amazing. But it was one of the hardest classes I'd ever done. I had like fake nails on, having to be all done up to sell luxury clothing. And I just had this rush of adrenaline that I hadn't felt in so long. And people were coming up to me and they were like, "Hey, I haven't seen you in the class anymore." It was just such a community. And it was this thing, it was just in the back of my head, like, you should try boxing. You could try like, you have that. There is something that's itching at the back of your head. You should try to paint something today. You should try baking. You should go for a long walk. Maybe you should try hiking. Like, there is something in the back of your head that you're wanting to try, but fear or quote unquote responsibility or your job is holding you back. And I cannot tell you enough, lean into that. If it's something that is productive and safe and legal, lean into that feeling. If you feel sometimes like, gosh, I just wish I knew how to paint. And not just like if you see a pretty painting, I wish I could do that, but like truly, like, I wish that I could do that. I want to learn that. I feel like that would be so relaxing. I wish that I had a nice garden. Every time you look at your yard, you're like, gosh, I think that I would be able to do that, but no, I'll just, put some mulch down like everybody else. Do it. Because when I started taking classes at this boxing gym, I made some of my best friends to this day. People that I call if I'm in trouble, people that I call if I'm having a great day, people that not only love me, but love my daughter because she was taking classes as well. They made her confidence soar through the roof. They gave her this sense of family and community that I didn't get at my workplace. Yes, I have friends from that job that I still have to this day as well, like one or two, but actually several. But it's like it was such a different feeling because I didn't have to be there. Like, I was choosing to be there. I was pushing myself, trying something new. And I also was, creating a community of people that also were pushing themselves and trying something new. And it gave me this rejuvenated sense of confidence and life. And I know that if I would have had that same itch of, I really wish I knew how to box, I know that if I had that same feeling towards baking and I would have leaned into that, I would have had a very similar outcome. Because it's just, sometimes you just need to trust that it's time for a reboot. I was doing the same thing every single day, not in a good way, not in a I'm content and I'm happy and I don't want to mess up the flow that I have right now kind of way. Or, sometimes you're in a period of life where you're like, I'm just going to put one foot in front of the other. And once we get past this, we're going to try new things. I mean, that happens. And I've been there 100%. But it's like I was in a place where I had some money, I had some time, but I was just holding myself back. Made all of those friends, had a phenomenal time, learned so much about boxing, yes, but about myself. I also, after my car accident and everything, I started seeing a therapist, and it was like an online therapist. A friend had recommended this specific therapist to me and and she was telling me that they were just very helpful to her, just like getting to this next phase of her life. She just felt like she was kind of trapped. And, 2020 was hard on everybody. But this therapist really helped me see the bigger picture, see that I was being pretty much abused at the workplace, like that the way that I was being treated and talked to and looked over for these positions without any explanation was not right. I was still in my early to mid 20s. So, I wasn't really thinking about that kind of stuff. I knew it didn't feel right, but to hear someone else say, no, you shouldn't be getting treated this way was really nice to hear. Um, and then just being able to talk through so many things, being able to talk through the pressure of being a single mom, and I'm the only one of my friends with a child, and having that pull to be the fun friend that wants to go out and party or go to a club, but I have a kid at home and I don't want her to be with the babysitter. I want to be with her. So it's like, am I missing out on that? No, I'm not. I've done it a couple times, gone out here and there, had a good time, but my happy place is at home with my kids, with my family, whatever. Having that therapist to kind of bounce those ideas off of. And I won't even say that I didn't have a specific issue that I wanted to work through, because I did. Like, I really, I had been single for a while, which was fine. I was actually very happily single because my job was very demanding, and I had gotten out of a relationship that wasn't the best. Like, there wasn't a lot of trust. There wasn't a lot of things. So I was like happily, newly single. I was kind of really getting into this groove with this boxing gym, and they were so encouraging. They were pretty much saying exactly what I'm saying to you. Like when you have those, it's like popcorn popping inside of you feelings that I really want to do this. And you get that giddy excitement about something as an adult. Those feelings about a new hobby and stuff don't come around every day. And so lean into them, try it. If it's not like, gonna take thousands of hours, even if it does, maybe it's still worth it. Like if you want to become a pilot and that's something that's really important to you and you have the funds and you've saved up the money, do it. It's going to take you thousands of hours of practicing, but that doesn't mean it's not worth it. You've always wanted to go to nursing school, go, honey. I'm gonna cheer you on every step of the way. And if I get injured, I'm gonna come and ask for you. But I mean, my therapist was just saying like this is important not only for me, but it was important for my daughter to see me do something for me. And that was something that I hadn't been doing. I felt like it was selfish for me to spend, and I look at it as our money. Yes, I was the one that was working, but it was me and her money. It was our livelihood. It was our savings. It was our rainy day. It was our oh shit money if we're in trouble. And I had been through that situation with having to pay for the car and everything. Like I had been through a point where I had been spending a bunch of money on, all of these things that I wasn't expecting just like that. And they were like, get your nest egg, get your little savings, and any money that you have left over, enjoy. You're paying for your daughter to do dance. You're paying for her to do gymnastics. You're paying for her. She's going to a great school. She's doing stuff after school. She has a ton of friends. You need to do something for you, and she needs to see you do things for yourself. Mothers, fathers, aunts that are taking care of kids, grandparents that are taking care of kids. I think that it is so important, especially now that I've been on both sides, for your children to witness you having an amazing time. Witness you making yourself uncomfortable in order to learn. Listen to that again. It is important for your children to see you take those risks and try something new, and it's important for them to see you going through a learning curve. Sometimes they see it when you're learning about a new job. Sometimes they see it if you have a second child and you're learning how to manage having 2 kids instead of 1 or 3 instead of 2 or whatever. And then other times they can truly learn so much by seeing you take a leap of faith, walk into a gym that you've never been into before. Everybody is wrapping up their hands a specific way and putting on their gloves a specific way and lacing up their boots and going and hitting the punching bags. And we both walked in there and she saw me look around and go, I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know who I'm supposed to be talking to. I don't know where I'm supposed to stand. I don't know how to wrap my hands up like that. And she was absorbing it all like a sponge. And I didn't freak out, obviously. But she was able to see me ask the questions. Hey, how did you wrap your hands up like that? Hey, why do I have to wrap them up like that? I don't understand. And what happens if I don't do it? Like she just got to see me kind of go through the motions of learning this brand new hobby that takes a lot of skill and is a little bit risky, or not a little bit, it is very risky if it's not done or taught properly. And she just was able to witness that. And then she was also able to witness me getting better, going to more advanced classes, sparring with people. She was able to witness the friendships that I made, going out to dinner with all of the friends that we made after we have a boxing class. And yes, I am the type of mom that brings my kid with me everywhere. If we got out of a class in the summer and she wasn't in school at 6:30, 7 o'clock, 7:30, and we were all going to go out to the sushi restaurant, my daughter would be sitting right there with me with edamame and some white rice, honey, because that's what she wanted. And she got to not sit on her iPad, but absorb those conversations and listen and, be able to see me making new friends too. And I just am so grateful for that. Not to mention, that's where I met my fiance. So that risk paid out tenfold. So I'm going to this boxing gym and I'm still working at this new place, and this new manager is still in their rotation of other managers. I think they were doing like a week at each, other store, and there was 4 or 5 other stores. So this whole time I am just getting this rush of adrenaline, and I'm going back into work, and the girls that I had trained and been working with for like the past year after the pandemic and gone through some of the most difficult times in the world, but in my lifetime and in retail, just difficult times of uncertainty. We were going through it together, and they were like, "What are you doing? You look amazing." And I was like, "Really?" Because I haven't really lost any weight. I don't think I've gained any muscle from my new classes. They were like, "No, no, 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 no. Like, you're coming in here with like a huge smile on your face. You're dressing like amazing, like dressing better." Because I had started wearing like a button down t shirt and a pair of black slacks and some nice shoes every day. And I was like doing my hair and makeup and like getting dressed up. And I was just excited. I shaved my head. Yep. When they said that I didn't have the right look for the management position, I said, "Oh, do I not have the right look? Am I a little bit too edgy for you with my Karen bob and my eyelashes and my red lipstick? Here's a look for you." And I went to the beauty shop and I shaved my head and I dyed it blonde. And when I walked in, they said, "Wow," because they had me modeling for them a lot. They said, "Wow, you look so different." I said, "Oh, do you like this look?" "Yeah, I didn't think that's what you meant, but I didn't have the right look. This isn't a modeling gig, honey." Anyways, so I just was doing a lot of things that I had fear of. I'd always wanted to shave my head. I wanted to know what I'd look like. I had always wanted to see what my natural hair was like. And at times I loved it when it was really short, loved my natural hair. As it's getting longer, I don't really like it that much. I don't know how to style it, but I like it straight when it's longer and curly when it's shorter. As of right now, that may change. But I wouldn't have known any of that stuff if I hadn't shaved my head. If I hadn't have gotten pushed to the point of you did everything what you perceived to be the right way and you still ended up in the same position, you still ended up screwed over by your job without a ton of savings, without any credit, living in an apartment that you can just barely afford. But if they said that you had to move out and find something else, like, it'd be a little tight. So I started reaching out to friends and saying, "Hey, I've been working in sales. I've been working in retail for a couple years. I'm ready to take that next step and move. They're putting a manager above me. I will not be here when she gets to my store. Can't do it. I can't train somebody to be my boss. That would have been the second time I did that. I trained the last person to be my boss when they passed me up for the position when I'd interviewed for it, and they ended up letting her go because she just didn't do it well. And or not that she didn't do it well, she didn't do it the way that they wanted, which was very specific. And I had been training there for years and I knew how they wanted things done and I was going to do it that way, but no. So I was like, I will not go through that again. Not for me. And so I started looking, not finding anything. I mean, it's 2020, 2021, and I mean it's just a struggle bus. Jobs are very uncertain. And so finally I had a friend reach out, or I was at like a girls' night one night. Like my daughter was at her dad's and I was at a girls' night, and one of my friends, a newer friend, was like, my company is looking for somebody in their carry office. She worked for like a surgical dental center. She was like, "I know somebody that's looking for somebody to work at like the front desk and to do their sales and the insurance and stuff." I was like, "I can do that." I was a certified nursing assistant back in the day. Any job you think of, girl, I had it. Okay. And I did pretty well. But yeah, I was like, I could do that. I could answer the phones. I could be very nice. I'm very friendly. I did sales. That's what I did, was be people's friend. Who needs a friend more than when you're sitting in a dental chair getting some work done? Not the fun kind. You know what I mean? So I interviewed there. They loved me, of course. And yeah, I ended up working there and making a ton of new friends. And that job had its ups and downs as well, of course, but I was able to get myself out of that extremely, extremely toxic work environment. My friends were able to leave as well. So, amen. We all got ourselves out of there. And that new manager was able to start with a clean slate. She didn't have anybody that had any disposition against her or felt like she had wronged anybody in any way. She was able to start with pick her own staff. So, it worked out all the way around. So when I'm working at this dental center, I'm still boxing, I'm still making a ton of friends. And dentists work like 4 days a week. So my hours, I was able to pick my daughter up from school every day and get her to school in the mornings. And it was just, It changed my life in a way because they actually prioritized me and my family. I think there was only one night I needed to stay late. And that one night, I was able to work that out, like, with my dad and with my friends to where they would pick her up from school one day a week. But before, I was working till 7:30 or 8 a lot of nights. And she would either have to come and sit with me at the store, or there would be, like, an hour window after she got done with dance or gymnastics that she would have to sit with, like, my dad and wait for me to get there. And I wanted to be more of a hands-on mom than that. And that was something else that was itching at me. It's like my career was not worth giving up time with her. And then from there, I had another opportunity presented to me to work at another company where I was able to work remotely, and that's worked for me even better. But I would not have had that growth trajectory if I was still locked into, I need to be a retail manager, which is a great job if you're with the right company. And if you have the right lifestyle. I didn't have a partner at the time. I didn't have somebody that was like, okay, I'm going to do the mornings with the kids if you'll do the nights, and then we can switch off on the weekends. I didn't have that. I was by myself. So finding that perfect balance was very difficult for me. And once I found it, I did not realize I I almost had guilt because I felt like I had missed out on so much leading up to that point. Um, but I got there. And you'll get there too. But it's taken that step to try something new to build that confidence. What is it? What is it that's itching at the back of your neck and something that's just in your gut, just your brain keeps saying, try it, try it, try it. Don't you want to do this? Haven't you always thought about this? What's holding you back? What is holding you back? Is it finances? And if it's finances, do your finances need to be reallocated? Are you putting a lot of money towards one thing, but it really needs to go towards a little bit needs to go towards trying something new? Because for me, going to a boxing gym is expensive. And guess what? I asked them if I could work at the front desk. They were like, "Oh yeah, we need somebody at the front desk." I said, "I can do it 2 afternoons a week for a free membership for me and my baby. Holla!" And I got it. And I was able to do it. You would be surprised at how many people are willing to work with you if you're willing to work and you're willing to work towards your goals. Once I found out, I mean, we paid for it for months and months. And then once I found out that we loved it, I was like, okay, this is an expensive hobby. I want to be able to go to travel and stuff too. So let me see if I can make a little bit of extra money by working up here. And I did. And it was great. And I loved the people that I worked with up there too. But it's like I made it happen. And that built my confidence too. I would have never been able to afford that on my own, but I was at a job that allowed me to have more free time. I was working a second part-time job where my daughter was taking class. So I would get there, my daughter would immediately go into class, and I would be working for 2 hours and she would be in two different classes. And then I would get out of work. Sometimes I would go to the gym and I would get to do a class while somebody else was at the desk. And then other times I just stayed at the desk until it's time for me to close up. And it was amazing. It was so much fun. I enjoyed it so much. And I think that I would have enjoyed it if it was pottery or whatever. But don't let things hold you back. Don't let your job hold you back unless your career is your driver. Unless you're like, I want to be a neurosurgeon. And it doesn't even have to be that. You could say, I have to be this store manager. It is so important to me. It makes me so happy. And I love that job so much, but I love me and my free time, the time to be able to do this, the time to be able to spend with my daughter, the time to be able to be at every single drop off and pick up from dance class or gymnastics class or go to the school football games, stuff like that is more important to me right now where I'm at. And it might not be for you, and that's fine. You might not even have kids. But you just need to find out what you want. Don't be scared to take that risk and give your life the jumpstart that it deserves. Try that hobby that you've always been wanting to try. I tried a hobby and got a husband out of it. Soon, I mean, maybe he'll want to back out. But he hasn't so far, which is a really good sign. So tell me what's holding you back. I want to know. I'm interested. I want to know what new hobbies that you've tried, the hobby that's been just ringing in your head. Do you want to do pottery? Do you want to cook? Do you want to bake? Do you want to sew? I just want to know what it is and what's holding you back. Or if you've tried it and it changed your life, how did it change your life? I'm so curious. That's all I had about this podcast, guys. I know I'm a little shy. When I have a guest, I can ramble a little bit longer, but when it's just me, I get a little story, a little chit chat, and then I'm like, I don't want to hear any more of this. I will say, if you're not following me on TikTok, hop over there, Shelbs the Stylist, SHELBZTHE Stylist, and kind of join the conversations over there. We're having a lot of conversation about our Europe trip, about gut health, about food, about, funny stories. I told a funny story on there today. I thought it was funny. Maybe you guys do too. About when me and my daughter used to live in the slums, for lack of a better word. And so go over there and check that out. We'll be talking about some of that stuff in some upcoming episodes. I'm going to have some guests on here. You can check us out on Instagram as well, Shelbs the Stylist or Shelbie Says Podcast. And it's always uploaded on Wednesdays at 9 a.m. And I'm happy to have you. Happy to have you here. If there's any feedback that you have to make things better, please let me know. I'm excited to have some guests coming up here soon. And we're almost done with season 1. I can't believe it. We've already done 1 season together. And there's so much competition on the podcast front. There is, but there isn't, because, I think that every podcast, every voice is different. And I really try to speak from experience and things that I've lived through and tell you guys how I've lived through them. And I'm not trying to give you like all this crazy advice with no credentials. But there's a lot of podcasts out there. So the fact that I've had 1,000 people join this and download this podcast and listen means so much to me. The support that I've gotten on several of my channels has truly blown me away. And this was one of those hobbies that was calling my name. Social media in general. Like, I just had a calling of, I want to start making videos because they make me happy. And I want to start making a podcast because it makes me happy. And it's a hobby that I don't regret, because I feel like I am connecting with people in a deeper way and using my talkative skills and my voice to, hopefully to my advantage, and to help me out with some things. So I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you listening and tuning in. And the episodes are just going to get bigger and better. So thank you for joining. I love you. Bye.